Hello, my friends. Welcome to Authentically Inauthentic podcast. And in this second episode, um, I have again my colleague and friend, Clovis Tuma, who is someone I have known and I have followed his career over the years. And I felt for my followers, it will be important for them to, understand where we are right now. It's not by accident, and we will be talking about personal development. Welcome. Clovis, when people see you now, they see a complete picture. It's natural for people to see you the way you are, even myself. It's natural for people to see me the way I am, but this doesn't tell the entire story. Clovis, how did you get here?
Yeah, thank you again, Godfrey, for having me on this new topic of personal development. And you are right. Um, and I don't blame people for seeing, the final
Product.
picture
Yeah.
or the product.
Yeah.
When I take this tablet, for instance, I'm seeing a tablet, but to be able to reach to that final product, many things, many people have contributed to building what I can use as a final device for my purpose. The same goes for individuals. I've not been the way I am today, the
Yeah.
person I am today. I'm still not yet where I want to be. There is still a long way to go, but I've also already traveled quite some key milestone. But it's not always been easy. It came with learning, a lot of detour, but also external people that have contributed to that growth. Yeah.
Absolutely, and when you're saying that, it's really, personal development is characterized by, a lot of challenges. There are wins, there are losses, there are commiserations in there are celebrations, and Clovis, I grew up in rural Africa, because that's how we call it, and going to a village school. We call it in my country trek, Trek, and trek means walking to school on foot,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And during our times, we had to walk to school. A school could be 5 kilometers away from home, and we didn't even have shoes back in the day. We used to wear, if you came from a better family, a family that's doing a bit well, you could have your flip flops,
Yeah.
and all those things, what the founding blocks of fueling our hunger, our pursuit for growth and wanting to change our own situation. How was it like for you growing up in Burkina Faso? And I realize, I'm a little bit older than you.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But I realize, we could be sharing some commonalities in there.
Yeah. I mean, I was born in Bobo Julaso. It's the second city of
I know
Burkina
Bobo,
Faso.
Bobo, lovely Bobo.
Lovely Bobo. I'm
Uh-huh.
proudly Bobole. I love
Bobole.
that place. That's where I
Yeah.
was born, and I grew up. That's where I had a primary school, and the first part of the secondary school as well. I grew up in community where neighbors were brothers. That's what I love about Africa.
Correct.
It was humble community, but we had each other's back.
Correct.
And that's where I first learned the importance of growing together and supporting each other. I've lost my dad, unfortunately, at quite a young age,
Sorry
when I was 6. And I also had the privilege and the chance, I don't know if I can call it a chance, to have a mother that was keen, to provide for her children, she was not so well off, but we lacked nothing.
Right.
She's made it a key obligation for me to go to the best schools. Um, not the most expensive, but where I could have a proper education.
Correct.
And this is where I believe I got my appetite of learning. If it wouldn't for that, those basic educational foundation, I wouldn't be where
you
I
are
am today.
Right.
So she's been very supportive, always pushed me, encouraged me to undertake, to try new things, and telling me there is nothing you can't achieve. She's been telling me to be intelligently ignorant,
Wow.
to not know what I can't do.
Correct.
If you need to be ignorant about something, it's on your limits. So this opened up vast opportunities. Because I believed I could do everything by giving myself the means to achieve those things.
Mama did a good job, and congratulations, félicitations à vous, Mama.
Coucou, maman.
Thank you. And Clovis, we tend to today, I look at the young people who are kind of lost, the young people who lack proper mentorship. You've mentioned a very important thing. When we were growing up, we were brought up by the society. We could be disciplined by anyone, by literally anyone. Today, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
So we always walked around watching our back, knowing that I can't afford messing up. Somebody's gonna hit me on the head. It doesn't have to be my dad, it doesn't have to be my uncle, but someone older than me will definitely, hold me to account. Today, the young people are walking around with a lot of expectations, where in reality there are very, very less and thin opportunities for them. What then can we, as a generation that's a little bit ahead of them, that is relatable to them, tell them or encourage them to do, to be able to prepare them, to face the challenges ahead, not to give up, not to feel like they are probably less important, they are less gifted, whereas they are. I think a big element of what we need to do to encourage the young people is to share with them our stories, to let them know that yes, they could be facing a different set of challenges, but it's not far differently from the challenges that you and I have actually, have had to face.
Yeah. Another very interesting question, and I'm challenged when I look at the reality of today and I try to compare it to the past. And at the same time, I think it's harder for the youth, which I'm part of, to succeed. Sustainable success. I also find that this is the time where you cannot fail because there are so much opportunities.
Oh yeah.
It's difficult to tell.
Yeah.
But I believe one of the reason there is so much stress for the young people today is that we don't want to take the time that it takes for growth.
To build something good.
To build something good.
To organically grow.
Exactly. To build the foundation. It's interesting that the most important part of the building is the one we don't see.
Exactly.
The foundation. People will see the superstructure, but the investment that has been done underground, sometimes
it's massive.
Is massive.
It's massive, yeah.
And we unfortunately don't take the time to build that foundation.
Yeah.
maybe because of social media,
That's
we
it.
see quick growth or
Yeah.
growth that we believe was quick,
Yeah.
and especially because those people don't tell
Yeah.
the other side of the coin.
Correct.
They will come up as successful entrepreneurs, successful authors, successful humanitarian workers,
Yeah.
and they don't necessarily tell what they went through
Yeah.
to achieve that success.
Exactly.
And we need to also put that out there so the young people know it can be easy, it is worth it, but it's not always easy.
Yeah.
It can be challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Clovis. Thank you for challenging my view. I'd mentioned, I'd mentioned that there are few opportunities, but you've had me to change. They say only, only a fool doesn't change his mind. Um, there are actually abundance of opportunities out there. What the young people need to do is to do things differently. You don't approach these opportunities the way our generation approached, the opportunities during our time. In the age of artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
in the age of advanced internet connectivity and connection, the globalization is we're now living a reality. Globalization,
Yeah.
when I was studying for my bachelor's, I was globalization was one of the units that I took. And back then we were studying it as if it's something that, what is globalization, trying to understand the trends and all that. But today
Yeah.
we are living, actually we are at the center of the ebb.
Yeah.
We are at the center of globalization and it's getting crazier. So, well, I will encourage the young people out there to firstly position themselves, and secondly, cultivate the culture of identifying a mentor, a coach, someone who's ahead of you. There's no shame in asking for someone to take you under their wings. Like say, Godfrey, listen, I like what you do. I would love, to have a bit of experience and to pick your brains. It begins from there, and that highlights the need of these young people to be humble enough and accept that,
Yeah.
for me to you have to want to stand on the shoulders of a giant for you to be able to see what is on the other side of the horizon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's something that I have done. I have in my career growth, I have identified strategically men and women who are ahead of me, who are doing better than me, who have more experience than I have, and I have told them, listen, hold my hand.
Yeah.
I'm interested in going into this direction, and I know you understand the pitfalls
Yeah.
that lay ahead. So will you be willing to hold me by the hand and show me,
Yeah.
show me through the way. Tell me this is what to avoid, this is what not to do, and this is what to do if you want to get there. Why is it so difficult for young people? Or is it that, adults, or, we don't focus more, we are not available to mentor and to coach young people?
Yeah. Very good point. I think I wouldn't be able to stress enough the importance of having a mentor or a coach. And I think there are different types of coaches or mentor that you can have in your life. The first one, obviously, are the closest, the parents.
Correct.
And maybe to the parents, you need to play that role, the importance of not only giving the examples, but to put your children in the right environment for them to grow. The second is, the classic mentors, me coming to you, Godfrey, because you have that expertise in XYZ, to help me to grow in that specific area. It can be technical aspects, but it can be, basic leadership aspects. It doesn't need to be technical.
Exactly.
But you can also learn from, silent mentors.
Correct.
By reading books. I consider, for instance, Jim Rohn as one of my mentors. I've never met Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
I have tons of his books.
Right.
I read his words. So you can if you are too shy to speak to someone, although you cannot limit yourself to books, you can always go back to those silent mentors,
Mentors,
and
yeah.
having silent seminars by reading those books.
Exactly.
You know, um, I think the youth needs to stop considering the people that they look up to as inaccessible. Actually, there is no bigger joy for someone that has succeeded in his life or in his career than to transmit it to someone else,
Exactly.
someone younger or even someone older.
Yeah.
It all depends.
Yeah.
It just comes down to finding the right modality, the right approach. I recently started being more active on LinkedIn,
On
for
LinkedIn.
instance,
Yeah. Yeah.
sharing
Lovely job.
thoughts.
Lovely job. Lovely job.
Thank you very much. And I actually was surprised to see many people coming inbox to ask me, do you provide coaching in resource mobilization?
Right.
Do you, train people? And I'm like, not yet. But if you're interested, I can give you a few
I
tips.
can show you the ropes.
Yeah, I can show you
Right.
the way
Yeah.
at some point. And personally, although I'm seen by some of the younger people as have arrived at some point in their
Right.
career,
Right.
I still have coaches. I still invest in capacity building. I think the biggest investment you can do is on yourself.
Correct.
Develop your mind. Jim Rohn, my mentor, he has one famous. This is not Jim Rohn. This is from Les Brown.
Yeah.
He says, develop your mind. You then get in life what you want. You get in life what you are. So the first investment needs to be on yourself, in your mind. The second advice he gives is develop your communication skills.
You're right.
Whenever you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. Communicating effectively is one of the most underrated skills a leader or an aspiring leader can have. I think this skills is
Right.
one of the key that anyone needs to build. And the third advice he says, only quality people. It's a principle that you need to have.
Right.
Surround yourself
With
and
quality
be
people.
yourself
Correct.
a quality people.
Correct.
Not people who need more, but people who want more.
Correct.
You
Wow,
you
that's
need
powerful.
to have that hunger
That's
of
powerful.
developing yourself,
Self. Yeah.
because it's only that way you can develop others.
I agree. I always say, and I tell this to people closer to me, people that I mentor, people that I coach, the biggest job you'll ever have is taking care of yourself. Nobody will take care of yourself for you. If you learn to take good care of yourself, and then the rest of the things will wrap around that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Clovis, I've seen how you work, and this can't go without me mentioning, because I want young people out there to learn. Whatever you are doing right now, be it in the university, be it in college, be it have you just started your first work and all those things? The principle of fully applying yourself in your work takes you far, far, far ahead. And I am saying this because there are people who do their jobs and they don't do it wholeheartedly. The way you have to learn to do your assignments, and don't just be good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough is not enough. You have to strive for excellence.
Yeah.
Right? If you learn these at the earlier stages of your career, if you missed this during your high school and university years, because that's where the culture of excellence is built. When you're doing those assignments that the teachers and the professors give you, how do you apply yourself? Do you apply yourself 160%, or do you go there half-heartedly, right?
Yeah.
And this transmits to your workplace. We have assignments in workplace. We have deadlines, very strict deadlines. Are you meeting them, right? And don't just do things of us. Do it, and do it wholeheartedly, right? We see, I've been very disappointed in most cases. I have interviewed candidates straight from the university, and you're like, come on, where's the content?
Yeah.
Right? This is an engineer
Yeah.
who's gone to a 7-year university course. But you can't quite get something out of what they are telling you. It leaves you disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I remember myself, my first interview with Oxfam for my first job. Clovis, I prepared like tomorrow was never coming. I prepared like my everything depended on it.
Because it did.
And it did. And that was my first interview, and I aced it. And it's always been the principle with the rest of the interviews that I've done. I've always even today, with the level of experience that I have, with the level of confidence that I have, I still prepare for my interviews the same way I prepared for my interviews close to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
What's your take? What's your take on that? How can you, what's your initial story, your career? What has been your propellant? What is this thing that is kept pushing you forward?
I think people will take you only as seriously as you take yourself.
Correct.
If you sell yourself cheap, people will buy you cheap.
Correct.
Ivorians have this famous quote. They say, if you treat yourself as a crab, people will eat you with a lot of noise.
Oh no. Oh no. Les Ivoiriens.
Les Ivoiriens. Hein?
Les Ivoiriens.
So we, even at very young age, we need to take ourselves seriously.
Yeah.
Not to fake being something you are not, but to put yourself in a position where people either see what you're capable of, authentic, or what you can achieve if they support you. So showing the potential that is within yourself.
Right.
You're right. I've also met people who says it's a 8 to 5 job. So at 5 sharp,
I need to be home. I need to be out.
And I leave. I've been, I will say, maybe wise enough to understand that principle. It's not only what you say that people consider, it's what you behave, what you do and what you behave. People speak when you're not around.
Correct.
And if they have a conflicting decision to make between two people, they will look to, which one has gone the extra mile.
Correct.
Between two interns that I will have, of course, beyond the technical aspects, I will, if both of them have the same skills, I will always go for the one that shows interest in going beyond what is expected. Actually, you shouldn't give someone what they ask you. You should give them what they need.
And more
beyond what they ask. And I will always recommend to the young generation, which includes myself, to ride that extra mile.
Right.
Learn as much as you can.
Right.
Demonstrate as much as you can. Impact as much as you can. And don't think you have time.
Oh yeah, it does.
You
fly.
don't have time.
It does fly.
Yeah, you will find yourself at 40, only to discover that you haven't gone that far in your trajectory.
Right.
So start the soonest possible. In different things. Start learning the soonest possible.
Correct.
Start investing the soonest possible. Start teaching.
Correct.
If that's something you think you have skills into, the soonest possible. And that's what will take you to the next level. To demonstrate the better version of yourself.
Right.
And it's not faking, it's just putting yourself into the spirit of what you want to be.
Correct.
But giving yourself the means to achieve
to get there.
that milestone.
Yeah. I mean, you've talked about internships. Very, very important piece of showcasing your talents. And I'll share my internship stories, and you will share yours. I went for internship in one of the water and sewerage companies back home in my hometown, and it was one of the most enjoyable experience I had. Firstly, because as a water engineer, most of class-based education was about hydraulics, sizing of the pipes and the
Yeah.
pumps and the distribution lines, and all that scientific things. But going to the field, I had to learn on the job, and one of the I did, was kind in local dialect or nuances, we call it the dirty job.
Yeah.
And I was carrying pipe wrenches. A pipe wrench is a tool that is used to hold and tighten the couplings, the fittings of the pipes, and all those things. I could disconnect illegal water connections and
Yeah.
all those things. It was really enjoyable. I could go to the field and do pipeline surveys with seasoned surveyors and all those things. It was one of the most enriching experience of my professional life, because this now founded the platform and the witness for my growth. And you know that exposure alone put me in a position of favor.
Yeah.
Had I not had I not had the opportunity to join Oxfam, of course, thanks to the governments of Kenya's, processes are very slow.
Yeah.
They were going to absorb me. I was going to work for the government in the district. Back then, we used to have the districts and not the counties that we have at the moment. I was being absorbed.
Yeah.
Why was I being absorbed? Because when I came in, I did more than was expected.
Yeah.
I volunteered myself in the surveying department. I volunteered myself in the water supply department. I volunteered myself in every imaginable opportunity until I became a darling of the district water engineer back then. Actually was even disappointed that I didn't choose to work for the government
Yeah.
in place of going to the NGO world. I'll think our stories relate in kind of a way.
Yeah.
What are some of the internship expositions or exposure that you got that allowed you to express your career, that allowed you to put yourself in a position of advantage, and you could attribute your career success to date
Yeah.
to that moment, your internship.
Yeah. I will always see internship. It can be formal or informal internship
Correct.
as one of the stepping stone for building a strong and long career. That's where you build your first practical skills. That's where you build your first network. And we often underestimate the importance of internship. As a matter of fact, people coming freshly from a college or university don't want to stay long for internship position. Maybe because I blame some of the business schools for the spirits that they give to the students.
students,
When you finish with a master degree, you will have X salaries and you will be in an office and whatnot.
An executive.
It's not like that.
No.
Internship is where you first apply the theoretical knowledge you've got to school.
Correct.
And I love this quote from Jim Rohn, and you will hear me quoting Jim Rohn quite often because it's one of my mentor. He says, "Don't let your learning lead to knowledge; you will become a fool. Let your learning lead to action; you will become wealthy."
Wow.
Internship is where you first apply what you've been taught at school.
Right.
And it's, I think, even if you can get a job right after school, it's always important to test yourself in a less constraining situation.
Correct.
As an intern,
Right.
you're given the freedom to make mistakes.
Right.
That's where you try something, it doesn't work.
I like that.
That's where actually you can start correcting your career path.
Correct.
Because what you learn at school, you may believe that's what I want to do in the future, but your first internship teaches you that maybe that's not what I want to do.
To do. Yeah.
My first, not the first, my second internship was in a corporate.
Oh.
I won't mention the name, but I discovered that this is not something I want to do,
Yeah.
for the rest of my life,
Right.
because it was cyclical. I will do
And boring.
this boring,
Yeah.
the
It's
same
not
thing.
challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I got another internship in the development world, I was like, I love this thing.
Correct.
That's where I learned, development as work, humanitarian work, helping people,
Right.
while developing yourself.
Right.
I've been exposed to the international world,
Correct. Right.
and for this job, I've traveled places.
Oh, yes.
Places that I wouldn't
Ever imagine?
dreamed
Yeah.
to discover if it
yeah.
wouldn't from that
Yeah.
internship.
Correct.
It was not an easy internship. I've been interned for almost 20 months in that organization.
That's almost 2 years.
That's almost.
That's incredible.
And people have been keeping me.
Yeah.
What? Why don't you leave? I was like, I see something
Yeah.
for me in this place,
Right.
in this trajectory, in this path.
Right.
It's like the bamboo tree. I heard that when you plant it, it takes years
To grow.
to grow.
Yeah.
But the minute it's
blossoms.
it blossoms,
Can't contain it.
it's multiplied by
can't contain
100 the size.
You can't. I fear bamboos.
Yeah, and I believe this
Yeah.
internship has
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
like that for me, because the first contract I've got has opened me, immensities of opportunities.
Correct. Right.
Going to Burkina, to Central African Republic, to
Right.
Niger, to Ghana,
Yeah.
everywhere on the continent.
Literally everywhere.
It's
And out of the continent too.
it goes
Yeah.
back to that
Yeah.
internship
Yeah.
where I've shown seriousness, because at some point you're still young. People
Right.
need to commit for you,
Correct.
but because of what you've displayed as seriousness,
Yeah.
as hard work, they are confident to back you up.
Right.
Sometimes it's not because of you; it's because of the person that is behind you.
Behind you.
Yeah.
Right.
So
The
internship,
force behind you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Internship gives you also, on top of everything,
Yeah.
that initial backup that you need in your career.
Yeah. Thank you, Clovis. And the message that I just want to share with the young people out there who are looking forward to a successful career growth. Firstly, the world is your stage. As big as it is, if you want to occupy the entire stage and play to your strengths, it's all up to you. It is in your hands. As you've heard from Clovis and I, there is no magic formula, but it's self-application. There is no linear path toward success. You only need to be patient with yourself. Don't despise those first steps. Those first steps is the building blocks of what you're going to be in the future. They kind of give us a sneak peek of what you're going to be in the future. And most employers use that as an opportunity to measure or to have an idea of the kind of a person you will be in the future. Are you going to be a patient person?
Yeah.
Are you going to be an irrational person? Are you going to be dependable? Are you going to be responsible? Are you teachable?
Yeah.
Do you self-teach yourself? And all those things. And when you are getting there, don't always look at the money. Like Clovis was being told, why are you spending a lot of time here? Go elsewhere and come back. And no, it's not always about the money. Money will follow you. Look at building your career. Look at having the right experience, and money will come as a reward for that. Thank you, and see you on the next episode. Thank you, Clovis.
Thank you very much, Godfrey.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's always nice to talk to you.
Good to